Orale vatos y vatas. I feel like I'm standing on the corner in Winslow, Arizona, because this is such a fine sight to see. We're looking at a 1970 Wards Garden Mark snowblower that is built like a shit brick house. Puke orange, best tool invented for snow removal or snow displacement next to the snow shovel that somebody else is operating. But you look at it close and you go, huh, what was Monkey Wards thinking powering a fucking A snowblower like this with only a 5-horse? Well, for those of you that want to know, it's a 13202 model with a type 023701, and the code is 7007297. So the first two numbers of the code are the year. 1970 this thing was made. We're talking pre-AIDS, post-Coke, disco on the horizon, Nixon in the White House, kids having a sexy freak out. This isn't your 2017 5-horse. This is 5 real horse when they used to rate shit like it really was. So, what are the features of this thing? Well, it's got a huge auger sticking out the front for chopping ice and wet snow and newspapers and feet. Cast iron gearbox. Typically, it's a steel driving worm gear with a brass ring gear. I haven't taken this one apart because it's mine and I never had to. It's got shear pins on the front. You want to use shear pins when you replace them, not bolts, because if you pick up a newspaper or something like that, it'll twist that gear off and then you're pretty much fucked, because I don't think you're going to get any parts for that. You'd have to probably have them made. But you know, with the hard rubber tires, no flats ever. Nowadays they're all pneumatic. Half the time they're flat. You can't even push it around the garage. These things, being 47 years old, they don't even have any wear on them. So, you know, if you could find one of these things for $50 at a garage sale or something like that, get it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't work. We'll make it work. This thing will outblow anything. I mean, you know, snow we're talking about. So keep your eyes peeled for snow blowers like this. That steel housing's 3/16 steel. I don't know what that gauge is, but look at the front of this thing. We've got the same squareness, basically, that thing had in 1970. This thing's been beaten around and fighting blizzards for 47 fucking years, and it's still completely intact. You can't do that with today's snowblowers. They just don't have any beef to them at all. You could kick the side of the thing and bend it in. So we got industrial greasable bearings on the output shaft that oozes into that auger housing area where the shear pin gets lubricated, which is good because when they shear you can replace it. It's got a little oil checker and a fill level and a vent thing on the top, a little castle nut for adjusting the end play if you were so inclined. But you know, one thing that you want to make sure of is you stay away from that for sure when this thing's running, and definitely stay away from that. That's where most of the amputations occur. Snowblowers are responsible for more amputations than any other consumer product in the world. So this covers off. You can get right to the belt if you need to change it. There's a nice 1/2 inch, maybe 3/4, almost an inch between the two pulleys, so you can slip a belt on and slip a belt off, or if you broke one. They didn't build this machine around the belts like some of the new ones where you got to take the whole fucking thing apart, or you got to separate the housing, or you know. Other problem with this thing that I had one time was the ignition coil had failed. So it wasn't the coil, it was probably the points and condenser. They were making points and condenser in 1970, and somewhere around 1979 or 1980 they came up with this solid state coil they called the magnetron. Now magnetron just uses the pulse from the magnet. Well, the flywheel magnet would energize the solid state ignition coil and produce a spark. And you could put that on 99% of the Briggs & Stratton engines that used to have breaker points, and it'll work just fine. There's 1% that it didn't work on, and that's because they had reverse polarity on the magnets. Now, believe it or not, I actually ran into one of those machines. It was on an old as shit Ryan, I think, sod cutter. I don't know, I can't remember what the model of the engine was, but it was definitely really, really old, and I'm surprised that I had run into it. So the other feature I don't really like is that throttle sticking up. That there, my infrared thermometer laser pointer, that there's the throttle. You pick it up for fast, you push it down for slow to stop. Well, it's kind of locked in that position, and I don't care because I just kill it with the choke. This thing starts on the first or second pull right out of the gate every single year, as long as you got some gas in it. Now, I don't care about this because what do I want to, throttle it down for? When you're the big dick in the locker room, you don't wear a towel. And that's exactly it with this thing. You start it up, and she goes full bore. It's been doing it for 47 years. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So to kill it, I'll pull the choke, or sometimes if I feel like doing the right thing, I'll take a stick and disconnect that. Now, the magnetron's got a little male spade on it. I could fasten some kind of a wire on there and put a little momentary switch on there to kill it or something like that if I wanted to, but I don't. This one's mine. All I do is I pull this here cap every once in a while. It's probably on the other side. That looks like a plug. There's a cap on the other side for checking the oil. You want to make sure that the oil level goes up to the bottom of the threads, right about there, and change the oil every once in a while. Change the spark plug if you feel like it. Oops. This one here is a Oregon aftermarket piece of shit J19LM copy, and you want to run a Champion plug in that thing. J19LM, CJ8, it doesn't really matter. But, I mean, overall, the moral of this story is if you can get one of these old snowblowers, you will by far surpass the snow blow ability of the new shit that they sell in the stores, for sure. Now, we had a blizzard. We get a couple blizzards. This one probably did the one in 1979. We had a blizzard back on Groundhog Day in 2011, and we did the right thing by getting ready for it. Me and the missus, we stocked up, do some prepper shit. We got a case of wine, some extra gin and tonics, food, prepared for the power to be out, stuff like that. Well, we get out there 7 o'clock, do the first 4 inches, go back out. This is the same blizzard that like 100 cars on LSD got plowed in, and they had to rescue the guys out by snowmobile. LSD is Lakeshore Drive in Chicago. Well, I got the first 10 inches done, and brought it into the garage there, and I probably had a couple too many. I shouldn't have been operating this thing, but this here auger was still engaged, as I usually leave it, and I got a little too close to the motorcycle cover, and it chewed it right up. This thing didn't give a shit, wound it up, and that was my job for the next morning before I got out to plow the 5 feet of snow, walkways and all, and this thing did it chip by chip. Didn't care. Everybody else was crying, and I was out there throwing snow. So, like I say, moral of the story, if you can find an old ass snowblower like this at a garage sale, get it. Whether it works or not, we'll make it work, and I'll show you how to keep it maintained. Thanks for watching.